Welcome to the Writer at Work, episode 21. I'm only going to make this a short episode. You might have noticed I don't have my face cam up, so you can't really see what I'm looking like as I'm working on this. I'm actually doing the final format for 366 Days of Flash Fiction, the second edition. So I've already gone through and I've done the nuking process and I've done the editing process. And all I need to do now is just go through and find what I've missed. So this will only be a very short episode, about 10 minutes or so. I've moved house, so I don't have a background for you guys that's suitable for you guys for a face cam. So I'm just going to work through. This is me working, just wandering through and doing what I need to do to get this book up to standard. As you can see, it's still got all of the annotations in that I put in to mark where I wanted to put italics. I haven't done all the italics yet. I haven't done all the bolding. So I'm just going to go and get straight into that. Like I said before, the main key to any of this is consistency. And to try and achieve that, what I'm doing is I'm going through and doing it as just all the one kind of thing in one go. So basically all of my bolding where everything is left hand aligned, and it's easier just to have the format painter on once you've grabbed your bold and just go through and do all of that, and then go through and do all of the others. And it also gives you more of an opportunity to pick up little things that you might have missed during your editing. During your editing process, I find it's best if you do things when you see them, those little editing things when you see them. Sure, it gets rid of your format painter, but it does make it easier than trying to go back and work out where you saw that missing comma or where you saw that spelling error that you really wanted to fix. So when you see those errors, they've already escaped your eye once. Don't let them do it a second time. So don't just say, oh, I know, I'll remember that that's there, because you probably won't remember that it's there. So basically, this is 366 days of flash fiction. When I originally released it, I released it in a leap year, or that was the intention. And it was just so people had a small piece of fiction to read each day of the leap year. It was part of one of the challenges I was doing where I was writing a piece of flash fiction a day, and probably by the time this goes to air, I will have started doing that again on a regular basis. Whether or not I'll do it as a series here, I don't know. So it's just going to be easier for me to go through when I want to center everything, and actually just use that format center thing if I can. So this is the flash fiction collections, like the poetry collections, are just collections of mixed genre short pieces of short fiction, which I did as I just do it to keep my hand in. It teaches me word choice discipline, and it teaches me to think about the kinds of things that I'm doing when I choose my words. Sometimes I'll set an exact limit, like I want to set. This is one of those points where you've got to just do it while you see it. But sometimes I'll set a word limit where you've got to meet a certain number of words. And it basically teaches you to look at what you're writing and what words you're using, what words you can cut, what your sentence structure is like. So you can learn a lot about writing cleanly by writing very short fiction with a specific goal in mind. So I started doing this. Chuck Wendick, on his Terrible Minds blog, used to run a flash fiction challenge every Friday. And I started doing this at that time because I wanted to just learn my craft and make my craft, my ability to write, a little bit better. So I did one of those because it taught me two things. It taught me word discipline. It taught me writing to a topic that I hadn't planned or hadn't chosen to myself. it taught me to pay attention to what I was writing and how I was putting things. But the beauty of the Terrible Minds flash fiction challenges was they had a deadline. So it also taught me to write with a deadline in mind, or it helped me practice writing with a deadline in mind. So sometimes some people freeze up when they have a deadline. Some people rush things when they have a deadline. So what I'd like to do is it was good for me to just get used to the idea of having a deadline, and that deadlines weren't scary. They were just part of life. I'm double clicking the format painter. If you single click it, you'll just get one extra use out of it. If you double click it, it'll stay there till you do something different or tell it to go away. So that helps with what you're doing. So yeah, all of these pieces, some of them came from the Flash Fiction Challenge, and some of them just came from me wanting to write or to attempt to write a piece of flash fiction a day. Some days I didn't do that, and I wrote several flash fiction pieces the next day to compensate. And I guess I learned that it wasn't always possible for me to write a simple piece of flash a day, but I could average a piece of flash a day by writing more pieces on other days when I had the time. Now, of course, I like to write them, and I have to write them to a deadline. My own publishing deadline. So I'm working at the moment on finishing another 365 days of flash fiction. And once that's finished, I will have written 1,000 pieces of flash, which I think it's a bit exciting. It's one of my goals was to write that many. And to hopefully write 1,000 decent pieces of flash fiction. So I'm working on that. I'm also working on a how to write, or a book that aimed at helping others to be able to write flash fiction, but that's coming along a lot more slowly. I've got a couple of poetry books to write first, so that'll be. I'm going to set them out in a format that encourages daily practice. So things like this, where you notice your short fiction titles don't have their bits around. The apostrophes around. Things like this, where you notice that your titles don't have the apostrophes. So for long fiction titles, you tend to make them italics, because this whole section that I'm working in here is going to be in italics. I'm bolding them just so that they stand out a bit, but I'm not bolding the short fiction titles. Again, it's consistency. You've got to go through and make sure that you get all of those pieces. By using your format painter, you're reducing the amount of time that it takes for you to, the amount of clicks that you have to do. So I guess that would reduce your RSI factor a little bit. But with this kind of thing, I tend to either be listening to something else, like I'm either listening to the videos, my gaming videos, to make sure that they're sounding okay, or I'm listening to something, a how-to piece on how to how to write this, or how to make a YouTube channel stronger, how to make better videos, that sort of thing. So it's never, I'm never just doing one piece, one thing at a time. I'm always doing more than one. All right, it looks like I've missed a few things. But there, so that's kind of how I approach my my formatting. As you can see, I only use Word. I don't have a fancy formatting process. I'm a bit of a caveman when it comes to this sort of thing. And I just, you've got to pay attention to detail. So I go over it. I try and pay attention to everything that I'm doing. Make sure I haven't missed anything. Which, of course, is going to happen. It's inevitable. You can have an editing team of 20 and they'll still miss something. You can go through your book, have 4 passes from the editor and 4 passes from the writer, and then send it through your chief editor, and you will still miss things. I think nothing hides so well as a spelling error waiting to appear on release day. Which doesn't mean that we're allowed to give up and let them happen. We just do our best to not let them happen, but accept that everyone in the process is human. So yeah, but that is pretty much all the formatting is at this stage. It's basically, I've nuked it, so I've taken out all the underlying formatting that was there when that got put in when I was writing it. And now what I'm doing is putting all of that formatting in, double checking for spelling errors, double checking for paragraphing, double checking for grammatical things, apostrophes, italics, quotation marks and speech marks, and just trying to put out the very best book that I can. So if you've enjoyed kind of watching the book as it comes together and listening to my theories or my approach on how I do this kind of thing, please hit that like button, and if you want to see more, please hit subscribe. If you would like to see something specific about writing or the writing and publishing process, let me know. Otherwise, I think I've made my where I go to learn about writing and publishing playlist public. I'll double check after I finish recording, and that will give you a few different channels that you can go and look at if you're interested in improving your craft as well. But on that note, I'm going to leave you. Have a really great day out there, and happy wording. I'll see you around.